Welcome to another episode of Rainbow Popcorn. We are 2 out of 3 brothers looking at stuff. That's not what I wanted to say.
Seeing stuff on the screens.
Watching stuff on various screens. I said that because I thought earlier in the day there's a quote from The Office.
Yep.
Which the middle brother will probably know already if he's listening, which quote I'm referring to, as will my husband. Where they're kind of in an... It's in Ricky Gervais's office, and Gareth is there. And
Oh,
I think
the UK office.
Yeah, the proper office. And they're interviewing someone, and it's like, what's your fantasy? But they mean in a job setting. But then Gareth says, 2 sisters, lesbians,
Yep.
I'm just watching.
Yep.
And then I was trying to think of a new tagline for the podcast, and that just popped into my head.
2 brothers, gays,
brothers.
what are we watching?
Gays, just watching. Like,
Oh.
no, that's not the vibe that we're going for. But
No.
comment below if you'd prefer that to be the tagline. We did just talk about...
Sorry, I'm Australian. I meant to pronounce it.
Nor.
Nor. Fuck off.
I've never said nor in my life.
You know, the only time I've said nor is when I'm being pro and true.
Oh.
And even then I don't know. There you go.
That's
That was
funny.
K-N-O-W, not
I
nor.
don't know.
I've gone to Nursa.
To
Yeah.
Norsha.
There you go. Maybe
Oh,
we should
very
do a whole
good.
episode like this and be pro and true. We'll
Be
get a
pro
couple
and
of
true.
wigs.
We could. I've got a couple of wigs just there if you
But
want
do you have
one.
pro and true grey bobs?
I have a black
Actually,
bob.
I don't know if I can do that for a whole episode.
It's a lot of work. They're very good, those ladies.
Speaking of a lot
That
of work,
accent went off.
what have you watched lately? Oh,
Speaking of a lot of work, the people at Kyonketsu,
Kirin.
I'm just getting a couple of Japanese drinks in before I go to Japan
Oh, you are going to
very
Japan.
soon.
1.6 standard drinks.
Do you know what movie?
Mary,
I'll
Jesus.
talk about that in a sec. Yeah, this is a 1.6er. It's a Kirin Kyonketsu pineapple. We've had the lemon before.
Is this the guy that makes samurai swords? That's Satori Honzo.
Hattori Honzo. I'm going to find him. We're going to Okinawa. Shane wants to find the town that Mr. Miyagi grew up in, which doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't because isn't... Wait.
Gets swept away with a cyclone, typhoon.
No.
The Karate Kid
Isn't
is
he
fiction.
Chinese?
No, that's in the new Karate Kid. That's going to have Jackie Chan in it.
That already had Jackie Chan in it? With Jaden Smith?
No, and then Ralph Macchio, and they're making another Karate Kid movie, all right? Let's talk about this, all right? But before we do...
I'm going to need a drink to talk about the Karate Kid.
Yeah. So this is actually Japanese, not the Karate Kid. The Karate Kid is actually Japanese. Pat
Oh,
Morita
I can
was-
smell the pineapple already.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what it smells like before you even taste it? You know, the pineapple filling on the Cadbury chocolates,
Yeah.
which is one of my favourites,
Oh,
actually,
wow.
from the snack bar. Cheers. Ooh.
It's not as sweet as it smells.
It's made by someone who doesn't know what a pineapple tastes like. The 30th of May this year in Canada, there is the release date of
God, I won't
Karate
be
Kid
there.
Legends. After moving to New York City with his mother, Kung Fu prodigy Li Fong struggles to let go of the past as he tries to fit in with his new classmates. When a new friend needs his help, Li enters a karate competition, but his skills alone aren't enough. With help from Mr. Han and Daniel LaRusso, he soon learns to merge 2 styles into one for the ultimate martial arts showdown.
Oh, so it's going to be like Karate Kid and something else in there.
So, Ralph Macchio, Jackie Chan, Ben Wang is the one that's playing Li Fong, who, he's the kid from American Born Chinese, which is a good show if you haven't seen it.
So the karate, which from memory is a Japanese form of martial arts.
It is a Japanese form of martial arts. That was one of the big criticisms of the Karate Kid 2010 movie, was that Jaden Smith went to China to learn Kung Fu from Jackie Chan in a movie called The Karate Kid.
And the other criticism was that Jaden Smith was in it.
The only criticism was that Will Smith couldn't shoehorn himself in there, or Jada in there to be with... I'm sure Will Smith presented it as, what if I am a Chinese karate master? And people are like, no, Will. You got one
Yeah.
good slap in you, and that's it. You can't do
I
it
was
for a
going to
whole
say
movie.
he clearly watched the movie and just asked Chris Rock.
Is
Like
that a
he didn't
wax on?
he didn't
Surely that's
kick him.
a paint side fence.
I think it is a
It's not a wax on.
No, I think it's a smash the side fence. I think it was a demolish the side fence move, and then he was so good that he won an award an hour later.
Yeah.
Not for that, but hey. Anyway,
He-
awkwardness of 2022.
Yeah, I think so. It was COVID.
It was just after COVID. Who won this year? That guy. Yep. Yep. It was at least 3 years ago.
Yep. The
Because it was Brendan Fraser, then Cillian Murphy, and then this guy, Adrian Brody.
so what did Will Smith win for?
King Richard.
Oh, King Richard.
Remember? Wasn't that good?
No, but again, biopic.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we just should write a biopic for ourselves.
Yeah.
Who would you play? Side note, not that this episode has any structure. What?
Yep.
Who would you like to play in a biopic?
As I mean, I'm playing someone famous.
Yeah, not the flip around. Everyone says like who famous would play you in a movie. That you need to come up with something because then that will give me time to think because I didn't even think about this question before we started the episode.
Would do something like Divine, but I would need to do some research.
Oh yeah. Could we write you a divine
And
biopic?
I had to practice eating dog shit.
We'd get fake dog shit.
Because that'd
From-
be an
like
interesting
from
story.
Christopher Walken's Magic Shop.
That's an interesting story. And do it now while John Waters is alive and you can get all the stories out of him.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who could I play?
Dunno. You don't have the range that I do.
No, that's true. Although a couple of episodes ago, I did do a pretty good impression of that mystical Asian from the parenting.
The parenting, yep.
I could play someone, I feel like, middle of the road type, everyman person.
Okay.
You know what I mean? What about in a few years, I could play a Nathan Lane,
Okay.
camp
okay.
it up a bit.
It's not quite middle of the road.
No, I know, but then I just threw that out.
He's like Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, true.
Because gay.
Friend of Dorothy.
He's
Things
a
have-
dandelion.
He's a poppy.
He's
No,
a
He doesn't make me fall asleep like the poppies do.
No.
Speaking of friends of Dorothy, that reminded me that I've been to 2 Melbourne International Comedy Festival shows while the Comedy Festival was on
good.
a couple of weeks ago. One of them was Ursula Carlson.
Yep,
So
famous
that
lesbian.
ticked the community box.
Yep.
She had a T-shirt on sale at her merch thing that said lesbiatarian,
Okay.
because obviously she eats lesbians. And the whole...
I was going lesbian librarian. That's where my mind went. Not vegetarian.
she did...
Because I would have just wrote vegetarian.
No, well, she did make a couple of pussy-eating jokes in the show. So I assume that's where she was going. All of the back curtain of the stage, she was at the Palais Theatre, was lit up rainbow as well.
Did someone die during
Only
the
the
thing?
6 colours. No, thank God. Awkward. And then we went to see Ray O'Leary, who you will have seen on
Oh,
Have You
yes,
Been
with
Paying
the hair,
Attention?
with
With
the
the
frizzy
hair and
hair.
the suit.
Yep.
He was
Kiwi.
very funny. Mm-hmm. And he made a couple of gay puns that I can't remember and won't repeat because then he might think I'm stealing his jokes. The one moment that I do remember, though, was he made a joke towards the end and he was like, you people might be sitting in the audience, and he was like, I can guarantee someone in this audience is sitting there thinking, if he can do this comedy, maybe I can.
Yeah.
And he's like, none of you can. You're all not good enough. Like he was taking the piss. And then afterwards, I turned to Shane and I said, I was that guy.
Yeah, of course you were. You do that about everything. You would watch Open Heart Surgery and think you could do it.
Oh, that I would need the years of medical training.
You know what years of medical training I have?
watching 25 seasons of ER and Grey's
watching
Anatomy.
ER and Grey's Anatomy and MASH.
The only
But not as much MASH, because it was more a comedy than a medical drama set in the Korean War.
and Scrubs,
And Scrubs.
which they say is accurate.
Yeah.
Whenever we say surgery, and I think TV, the first scene that comes to my mind is from the Seinfeld episode, The
with
Junior Mint.
Yep.
Yeah, and that doesn't really. The only thing I learned about surgery from that is don't let chocolate fall into your patients.
Which I think they cover towards the end of surgery elective school.
Though I do think it's pretty key.
I think it's pretty important.
Like if you're going,
But you think chocolate, you put it in your body anyway.
yeah, but it's like when a car goes on the footpath, like it's not meant to be there.
And it kills people.
And it kills people.
Yep.
That's exactly what it's
It's
like.
exactly like putting a chocolate in an abdomen.
Well, I feel like there's two rules when you open up someone for surgery. There's obviously a lot of sub rules, but there's two big ones.
Yep.
If you're going in to take something out, don't put anything in.
Yep.
And if you're going in to put something in, only put that thing in.
Yes.
Don't leave a scalpel or a junior mint in there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if you're
Or a towel.
removing a spleen, don't put in a junior mint.
Somebody left a towel in. I think Turk left a towel or something in Scrubs.
That would have been a malpractice for Kelso to deal with.
No, Ted, the lawyer. Oh, R.I.P.
He took a
When
break
I
from his
think
a
of-
cappella group.
When I think of surgery on the screen, my first thought is that scene in Gone with the Wind where she's like being a nurse because it's the war, and then they have to cut the guy's leg off without any like morphine or whatever what they have used in the
Just
1800s.
something to bite down on.
We've run out of,
Opium?
I don't know, quinine?
Quaaludes from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Quinine?
Quinine's a thing. It's the ingredient that makes the taste of soda water. Is like
Oh,
quinine.
they could have just given him soda water.
I don't think
and
that's
then
the thing you're
amputated
thinking of,
him.
though.
And he's like, no, the pain, bite down on this. And then she runs away and she says, I'm not doing this. I've seen enough of death and rotten death. And then she runs and then Atlanta burns down and she doesn't know nothing about birth and no babies. Anyway, what have you watched this week?
I think quinine would help me because I would be so distracted by the fact that I hate the taste of soda water that you could just lop maybe a finger, maybe not a leg.
My body, sensory, would go, soda water, must be vodka.
Must be vodka, and then you think you're drunk and don't notice if you're getting amputated.
Yep.
Okay. There you go. Any cheap anesthesiologists out there?
Cool.
Surgery on the screen.
Surgery on the screen. That's the name of the app.
We should pick
What else? What other surgery?
We could do that each episode. Just pick a topic.
Surgery on the screen.
Like when I say car crash, what movie do you think of? Like something like that. Don't do it now because we've done that segment. Now we're actually on to things that we've watched.
Cats. 'Cause that was a disaster.
Oh. Todd McKenney is starring in a new stage production of Cats in Australia.
Well,
That got announced during this week that we recorded this.
I do have a thought for car accidents on the screen, though.
Okay.
Do you want me to say it now?
Let's
or not?
save it for the next episode.
Okay, we'll save it for the next
We've got to give
episode.
some people some suspense. What have we watched? We've both watched the Netflix series The Residents.
Yeah.
As of our last episode, we'd watched a couple of episodes.
Uh-huh.
But we've now both finished it.
Yes, I have finished it.
And
To be honest, I almost finished it that same day.
yeah, that's
I
fair.
watched all of it except the last episode in one weekend because it was getting late and the last episode was like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, it was a long finish.
And it didn't need to be.
I liked it
Yep.
as a viewer, as a writer.
Here we go, guys.
I have some notes.
And here they are.
There's a big thing when writing mysteries that you are not allowed to trick your audience. You're allowed to put in red herrings
Yep.
and you're allowed to withhold information as long as the reader doesn't, or the viewer doesn't know that you've withheld information.
Who is this person saying what I can and can't write on my TV show about a murder in the White House?
Well, audiences, really, because if you go into a mystery and you annoy the audience, like the audience goes into any
Okay,
genre
yep.
expecting certain things.
It did get a little bit annoying.
If you write a rom-com and you don't have a meet cute and you don't have a happily ever after, audience is going to be annoyed.
Well, I'm not going to write a rom-com because I wouldn't have a happily ever after. It'd be more La La Land. That's annoying.
Well, that's annoying because we didn't like the movie.
Well, that's annoying because they teased you by showing like, hey, they're all happy. Spoiler alert. Hey, they're all happy, yada, yada. But then it was just something that Emma Stone had in her mind, and it wasn't real.
Yep, so that is not meeting the genre tropes.
But I think what was also annoying about that is that white people culturally appropriated jazz music.
Was that the point of the movie, or was that just the movie?
No, that was just Ryan Gosling was a jazz pianist.
In the same year that a black movie actually won the Oscar.
Yep.
So audiences go into genre with the trope expectations, right? And one of those things with mysteries is that you're not allowed to, or you're not meant to trick your audience.
Yeah.
And so the point that I kind of lost it was at the start of one of the episodes, we follow the Swiss,
knife.
German, French chef
Swiss Austrian, yep.
who picked up the knife and took it. And we saw it and we watched it all, his little bit start to finish. And you said, is this something that he's imagining or something that the detective is imagining might have happened?
Yeah, or did it really happen?
But then we get an indication that it is a thing that really happened. And in that thing, we see him put the knife on the knife block, on the magnet on the wall.
Yep.
And we both said, and this is why the thing annoyed me, and this is why it is a thing that tricks the reader, the viewer, because we see that, and I said, oh, that knife wasn't there when Detective Coop came in later.
Yep.
Then we see an added on scene later in the episode where he takes it off again.
Yep.
And that annoyed me because that's just tricking the audience, not giving them a red herring or giving them another thread to pull that doesn't turn out to be a real thread.
Yeah.
That's just deliberately omitting information.
Yeah. I agree. Next episode. No, so no,
Full stop.
The Residents, I thought first couple of episodes,
Yep.
really good. Like it hooked you from the start.
Yes.
And if you like a murder mystery, you're going to like it. Uzo Aduba is very good.
She's very good.
The cast in general is very good. Kylie Minogue was hilarious.
Kylie Minogue was very funny.
And it had Australians in it that were Australians.
Yeah.
So that was good. And it didn't make fun of Australians, but it did.
Nobody said no.
And yeah, they didn't have stupid accents because they're politicians, although anyway.
Can I tell you one thing about the cast? You may have already looked this up. At the end of it all, it says in memory of Andre Braugher.
Yeah, was he meant to be...
He was meant to be Giancarlo Esposito.
Right.
Andre Braugher, Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
He'd filmed about a third of the series before he passed away suddenly late 2023. And the showrunners talked about, re-editing and retweaking, using what they'd already shot.
Yep.
But then they decided to recast it. I think Andre Braugher would have been very good.
I think he would have been good. I don't think it would have... Well, I don't want to say would have been better.
Would have been
it's
different.
It's not like he was bad.
No, I thought Giancarlo Esposito was good.
Is it Giancarlo?
Giancarlo.
Not Juan Carlo.
No.
Oh.
Giancarlo.
Anyway, is that racism?
Esposito. No.
Because I just thought Juan Carlos Esposito. Anyway.
Andre Braugher would have been good. Different, still very dry and stoic.
Yep.
I would have found it a little bit hard to watch and not see him as Holt, I think.
Especially if they shot it all and then he died and then it was a movie about how he died.
I feel like that's one of the reasons that they decided to recast him. Like all of those jokes in the early episodes of Mid-Century Modern about Linda Lavin dying very soon.
Yeah.
And then she did. But we're not talking about that.
I think it was good. It did. I don't know if it needed to be 8 episodes. And I could kind of get where it was going with she was following things, and that's an episode on this character, and then that's an episode on this character, and then the thing. But then the thing was, it was 8 episodes long. The last episode was an hour and a half, and the others were like 40, 50 minutes.
Yep.
But still, the end wrap-up of what really happened seemed rushed. And I think that's because they were trying to be an Agatha Christie, your Hercule Poirot... Fuck, I fucked that up. Wrapping up in how he does in all this stuff.
The modern version being Benoit Blanc.
Yes. But it was just too much going on, because at that point there were too many possibilities, there were too many people, there were too many rooms, there were too many bits of things linking different people to different rooms that you were like, ooh, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, that's also a room. And you're like, the fuck?
I think they put too much into it. That end explanation, the audience needs to be able to keep up with.
Yeah.
And I think we both struggled with that.
I struggled a bit with it because I also, then you know what else I loved? Is that one episode we were watching and I was like, is this going to be a Murder on the Orient Express thing where multiple people were involved? And then like 2 episodes later, the guy goes, what if this is like Murder on the Orient Express and everyone's involved? I said, what the fuck?
Well, that's one, they did it with the titles of the episode, named each after a famous mystery film, except for the episode that should have been called Rear Window, but wasn't, where the kid looked across the street. The one thing that also got me is I find this hard to balance as a viewer, and there's a lot of talk in writing circles about this as well. How much information we as a viewer get that the detective doesn't get. Because there were a lot of... She interviewed everybody 3 or 4 times, and there was the jumping between things that she'd heard from the interview, which kind of makes sense with her detecting process.
Yeah.
But then bits and pieces of scenes that she wouldn't know as a detective. And I think particularly that chef, following that chef scene, that's not something that she knows.
And that was a bit... The other thing that was annoying about that scene is because that was a bit out of... Because other than that, I can't think of other bits, other than when you're following him.
Yeah. And up until then, it had all been through her.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things in mystery writing, that what makes it a mystery is that we're finding things out as the detective does.
Yeah.
And I think it got pretty close to that, closer than the show I'm going to talk about next, but that's in a different style, the other mystery that I've watched recently. But I think The Residence is good.
Yep.
One thing that was a challenge was that style of movie needs to be what's called like a closed door or a locked door mystery. And there were... and the classic examples of that are Murder on the Orient Express or Death on the Nile or 10 Little Soldiers.
Yep.
Those Agatha Christie ones, and she was the mistress of that, which sounds terrible, but I didn't want to say master of it.
Yep.
She was the queen of the locked door mystery.
Well, I think
this had that sense, but it's 2024 in the White House and the FBI's just there. So the blood work... taking 4 episodes to come back.
That was my struggle. And I think I said it. I was like...
You kept saying fingerprints.
I was like, get the fingerprints off the candlestick.
Get the fingerprints off each of the 4 glasses that you found.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Get the video footage of who's walking into the garden shed.
Yes,
because there's no surveillance in the residence, but there's got to be some outside.
I'm going to assume that other than not being in the residence, that there's a fair bit of security cameras and people around the White House.
Well, so that didn't quite match. Of that, there was nothing that made it locked, other than we don't want it to get out to the media. But the FBI is the FBI,
yeah,
and they're not going to leak things to the media. So put it out there, right?
sure. Politicians never leak things to the media, especially in 2025.
Yeah,
I know, but
take not being a closed door thing with that style of detective
yep.
was a thing that didn't quite connect for me.
I think I didn't like then when it was like, and then the other detective was like, it is a suicide, and then she's off in the jungle looking for a bird, and then they have to come back months later to sort it all out again. Also, the episode about the maid and the engineer.
Being in love?
Did you hate it?
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to hate it. I thought it was a waste.
I
Because we
thought-
didn't deep dive into other people's stories, really.
Yeah, that was the
As
that's
much
true.
as those two. So I was like, why do we need a love story in here?
I felt that about the 20 minutes of birding with the nephew.
Again, because then I thought it was, okay, this might be... I
thought
thought it
the
was the
same thing.
nephew across the road.
I thought the same thing.
That's why
And-
it was like, this kid asked for you. So then I thought it was the same. It was her nephew.
I thought when it opened the door and it was a little black kid, I was like, that's the nephew. Oh, no, it's not the nephew.
And then I felt bad.
But I don't think we should feel bad because the first 20 minutes of that episode is her spending time with her nephew.
Exactly.
And then we meet a little black kid. And yeah, the stuff outside the White House, her being, having the tism about birding
Yep.
is one thing.
Yep.
We didn't need all of the external stuff. We didn't need all her backstory, all of the backstory of her journal. That was
No.
the point of the nephew.
Yep.
Just like 6 episodes, bang, 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 mystery.
Yep.
I watched another mystery.
Great.
Season 2 of After Party,
Okay.
which is on Apple TV+.
Ugh, okay.
The first season was very good. I liked it a lot.
Is this...
Tiffany Haddish
Oh.
plays the
Why
detective.
am I thinking Jane Lynch and guy from Parks and Rec, Adam Scott? What am I thinking of?
No, you're not thinking of After Party. So, this one is very different. It is a locked room one, right? A rich crypto millionaire dies on his wedding night. And then very early on, Elizabeth Perkins, who plays his mother, Wilma Flintstone,
Yep.
says, don't call the cops yet because we've got to sort out some business shit before this goes public to the media.
Party down.
It's not a mystery,
So it
is
had
it?
the word party in it. That's why I thought it was that.
It's not a
no
mystery,
other
though, is it?
reason.
Okay.
A
Jane
group
Lynch
of
and Adam
actors
Scott.
moved to Los Angeles to make it big, but end up working as caterers. Not a mystery, but it does have that same guy as the residents, the one that's the friend, who was in Happy Endings. Harry something.
Harry Hollinger.
Yeah.
Was he in Happy Endings?
I believe he may have dated Penny at some stage.
Eliza Coop was in Happy Endings. The senator, congresswoman.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was in Happy Endings, and he dated Penny at one point, and he had a weird quirk, and that's why he dumped it. Wait, now why am I thinking of Will and Grace?
Okay, can I get back to After Party?
Yeah.
It's very different. They did the locked room thing right. But how this show works is that Tiffany Haddish, along with Sam something, interview each of the people.
Yep.
And Tiffany Haddish, as a detective, calls them people's mind movies of their memories of the events.
Okay.
And each episode is in a different movie style.
Oh,
So
okay.
there was a noir one, there was a romance one, there was a horror one, there was a soap opera one. It is pretty much straight out comedy mystery.
Okay.
And so they play around with that really well. It's cleverly done in that they obviously shoot the same scene slightly differently depending on people's perceptions, because that's
Yep.
the point of interviewing each person has an episode.
Yep.
And so there were a couple of times where I noticed that, like, this character in this scene, there was something on the table, but then when that same scene came up later, I'm like, oh, there's nothing on that table.
Okay.
And the way they say things is different because of people's memories of things being different. So I quite like that. It's very funny. Tiffany Haddish is very good,
Yep. Good.
and she is hilarious. Mm-hmm. But it does a lot of speaking to people outside of the interviews as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Almost too much in this series. I feel like there was more of it in series 2 than in series 1. But that's established at the start.
Okay.
Not like, I think in The Residence was like 4 episodes in and then we just follow the chef for 15 minutes.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I think I'm recommending The Residence and After Party.
Okay.
If you like mysteries that
Murder
are a
mysteries.
bit different. If you like Knives Out or Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery,
Yep.
then
That's what I said to someone.
you can watch both of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, After Party was good.
Cool.
I was happy with that.
Yep.
There is a third Knives Out movie
It is coming.
coming soon.
I feel like maybe this year, and I feel like Mila Kunis is going to be in it.
Okay.
It's going to have a great cast because they all do. So
Yeah. I'm so glad that Star Wars didn't ruin Rian Johnson's career. He directed The Last Jedi.
oh, is
Yeah.
that the bad one?
That's the bad one. Or the worst one.
Okay.
And he actually, before Last Jedi came out, Lucasfilm signed him on to do his own trilogy of Star Wars movies. But then everyone hated Last Jedi.
Oh, so you got the chop.
And so that got paused
Ah.
and then eventually shelved. But I think, thankfully, Knives Out was already too far along for the studio to be like, Rian Johnson, you're a bit risky.
Okay.
But it's a quality thing, and Daniel Craig is very good.
Yeah. And he gets referenced in The Residence.
Yes. Took a lot of artistic license with the accent, Rian Johnson said.
Yes.
He was just like, he plays an American...
Foghorn Leghorn.
Plays an American detective, and then he makes just like this full Southern...
Yeah.
Not Piper, no.
No, Foghorn Leghorn.
Foghorn Leghorn kind of...
I see. It was
Southern
Chris
accent.
Evans.
Lots of good talk about that there's no love interest between the female assistant
Because he's a gay.
because he is married to Hugh Grant.
In the
Potentially.
movie.
In the movie, yeah. Queer.
Queer.
Can we... So I went to see the Comedy Festival. I said that. If we did a show at the Comedy Festival, I already thought of this before our next topic came up.
Okay.
I want to say our Comedy Festival special show will be called The Audience is Fucked.
Okay.
Because audiences are fucked. And we've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
Remember when we came out of COVID, we went to the Astor Theatre to see The Princess Bride.
Ugh.
And people couldn't
Sorry.
even make it.
Wow.
People couldn't even make it to intermission.
Well, that guy had like 10 beers. Which
then
is
he
another
went-
reason why he's fucked.
But then he went to get more beers.
He did. Because he'd seen it 17 times before. Because he was a fucking Gen X. And you know
Ursula-
who's bad? The Gen Zs.
The Zoomers. Oh my days.
What?
You will have seen this.
Fuck.
I saw it and I was like, kids are fucked. Which I know is
Kids
a
are
thing
fucked.
to say, but this is proof that kids are fucked.
I have seen the shenanigans and buffoonery of Minecraft viewings at the cinemas, and I am so glad I don't work at the cinemas anymore. There was one, I think the worst one that's going around is one that was in like Knox,
Yep.
and it's like someone flower bombed it.
Is that the one where they brought a live
No,
chicken?
I'm pretty sure that was in America.
Oh
that
my
someone
God.
brought a live chicken, and I'm just so confused. So my friend Liam went and saw it.
Yep.
He lives in a country town, so it wasn't like that. But he said it was still really annoying that it was like everybody was noisy and acting a fool. And then from then, it's just now become a thing that's a cool thing to do is act like a fuckwit and throw toilet paper
Yep.
around a cinema.
Popcorn.
With a real live chicken. I would be going to the cinema and asking for my money back. Even though it's not their fault. But like you would have to kick people out.
Well, this is.
I would be stopping the movie.
Well, there have been so
and
many
going,
times where they've had to stop
all
the
of
movie.
you lot, clean this shit up and get the fuck out. Because you wouldn't be able to then... It'd fuck up your scheduling because that's not a 10-minute clean.
Well, cinemas are going to have to schedule 45 minutes between screenings in that cinema because of Minecraft.
Flour off carpet. Vacuum.
You just have to get the bigger vacuum
that was
cleaner.
A dumb question.
But
the backpack vacuum. Ugh.
What is annoying to me, and I spoke to the middle brother about it and his girlfriend. They have primary school age kids, so they went to see it with the kids, and I was like, "Oh, you did? You took them, even though like you've seen this stuff happening?" And they were like, "We were ready for it." And like at the start of the movie, there was some people, a group of boys over here yelling at a group of girls over here before the movie even started.
Yeah.
And middle brother was like, oh, this could be shit. They're both teachers, so they were both ready to be like teacher voice.
Yep.
Pull your heads in.
Yep.
But it didn't get that bad. But if I was a parent of a primary school age kid, I wouldn't want to take my
I'm
kid
not taking
to
my 7-year-old kid to see that.
cinema where that shit is happening. But this is the thing. Despite all of that, it's number one in the box office and has already made over $300 million.
Because now people are going to... They're going to it to do that. They're not going to go and watch the movie. They just want to see Jack Black go, chicken jockey, and then you freak out.
And then the chicken jockey comes on the screen, and there's not very much story to the movie, apparently.
That's what I've heard.
But that's the thing. It's the same as the Super Mario Bros. Movie recently. I think we've already talked about it. It's just a series of references put together into some vague kind of storyline.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one because obviously the Minecraft movie don't care that people are also videoing the screen because to put that on their TikTok.
I think whoever made Minecraft, the movie, should be coming out and saying something.
Well,
because if I'm Village Cinemas,
the middle brother said there was a full screen card.
Yeah, but
that said, "Don't fuck shit up in this cinema." It wasn't those words, but it was there.
Maybe
so
it should have been.
Cinemas are doing stuff, but it's I don't know. It's getting people to cinemas.
Yeah, but it's not in a good way.
way.
I would be tempted to bloody ban people. Like if you're a person that brought in a live chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, but you are not coming back here.
No. And it's this.
I would have walked out if I walked in that video or photo I've seen of that cinema with the flower bomb. I would have walked in there, gone to my boss, and gone, "I'm not cleaning that. See you later."
But this is the thing. Like, unfortunately, if you work in the service industry, somebody does have to clean that up. That doesn't excuse them doing it, and I think it's also a thing of, there are people that will clean it. Like people that leave their stuff all over the tables at Macca's.
Yeah. Or at the Melbourne, you know what? It's the Melbourne Central Food Court as well.
It's every food court. It's anywhere where there's serving food. People are just like, well, someone will clean that up.
Yeah.
Even in restaurants that have waiters whose job is to clear your table, which Macca's doesn't have, which a food court doesn't have. Even at restaurants that do have it, people are just like, there's shit all over, I spilled sauce, it doesn't matter. The tablecloth's ripped, I don't care. It's a lot of that attitude of, well, someone will clean it up. It's not my problem.
Fucking Gen Z.
That attitude.
Or are they the one under it?
No, it's not Alpha yet. Alpha is the nieces. Z is the late teens into 20s.
Right. It's the Gen Zs.
It's the Gen Zs.
I think it's a bit of the Zalphas. It's like that
Yeah.
it's like 15-year-old boys.
Yep. That's what it is. 15-year-old boys are shit. Sorry if any are listening. I doubt you would be.
But also, oh no, they're probably buying it. I was going to say their parents dropping them off at the cinemas and they're like, why have you got a chicken?
Yeah. Some are taking their own chicken. And in America, you can drive at 16. So they're probably driving their own chicken to the cinema.
Yeah. And then getting it in. Good effort. But fuck you.
It's hard enough sometimes to smuggle like a bag of Maltesers in,
Yeah.
let alone a
Nobody
chicken.
cares anymore. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Audiences are shit.
Just have a little respect for your fellow person.
If it's not a thing, like this is the thing. If the movie had said this is a thing in the movie
Yeah.
and the cinemas are aware of it, the cinemas staff and pay and time accordingly, do it. If they say this is an interactive screening, you can bring a chicken. Do it.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just a movie.
It's just a shit movie.
And you're doing this shit all yourself.
Yeah.
And don't be shit about it. But also, if you go to see a comedy show, just bringing it back to how I started this.
Oh, there we go. Full circle.
Can't get through an hour of Ursula Carlson without having 2 beers. People were walking in and out of the comedy show for the whole time to go to the bar. I'm like, you're going to miss a setup.
At the Palais.
You're going to miss a
And that's
setup
not
to
like
a joke.
A small place.
No, there was 2,000 people there.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, just be
Attention
good, audience.
spans.
That's true. It is. I think it's still from the 4 years where all we could do was stream stuff during COVID, where you can pause and go to the toilet or the fridge whenever you like.
Yeah.
People probably can't even get through our half-hour YouTube videos.
I just wonder what people do at work.
Well, office jobs, you can just go to the toilet whenever you like.
But not if you're in a meeting.
Some meetings you can. Not if you're an important person running the meeting, I guess.
That's why I never leave. So important.
Audiences, be better, but also watch The Residents and After Party,
Yeah.
which are on streaming.
Which are on streaming, so you can chuck your own chicken at your screen, or whatever the fuck.
What would it be for The Residents? Singing along
Birds.
to Kylie.
Just birds.
Birds are drones.
They are drones. I actually thought that one hawk in the thing was a
Well,
drone.
it would. There would have been footage of someone walking into the shed because birds are drones.
Because birds are drones. And Leah Michelle can't read.
And I saw something a couple of weeks ago where China apparently actually are making drones that look like birds.
God.
So we were right.
I would if I was China.
If you can make them look good enough.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay. If you've got a show that you would like us to watch, let us know in the comments on the YouTube or get
Or
in
a
touch with
topic
us on
of
the
the week.
social. A something on the screen
Next
topic.
week is car accidents in screens.
Car accidents. What's your first thought when you think of car accidents in film?
Or
Get in touch
TV.
with us on the socials or comment below on the YouTube video.
Mine's TV.
Make sure you subscribe, podcast or YouTube. Follow us on the socials at Rainbow Popcorn Pod, and we will be back next week. Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Lee.